Hi, and welcome back to Zo Talks. This is a show all about mental health. We focus on adolescents, the mental health industry, and the education industry. This is the show where we talk about all things difficult. What are some of the burning questions on your mind that you want to discuss?
I'm Christina. I'm from Zoala. We're a generative AI tech startup company.
And I'm Joanna. I'm from wwyd, a youth counselling center.
And the episode for today is all about the importance of mood monitoring. Some of you guys might be asking, why is that important? It's not so much a burning question, but it is a topic of interest and one of great importance.
Yeah, because a lot of us might think that, yes, mood monitoring, it's kind of commonsensical. It's like, if I feel happy, I know I'm happy. If I feel down, yes, I feel upset, I feel depressed. So why are we talking about it this episode? Is because actually mood monitoring is not something that a lot of people talk about. And checking in with yourself about your feelings and your awareness and how you respond to your emotions is actually not something that necessarily people are taught in school or at home. Parents explicitly teach this to their children as well. So that's why today we wanted to share a little bit more about how to track your mood and why is it so important and what effects can that have on you if you're not very aware of how you're feeling.
So leading into this topic of today, something that Joe and I discussed, actually there are many reasons why this came up and what we feel contributes to people not being able to regulate their emotions or monitor their emotions. But two that came up is one being generation and the other one being about culture, different culture and the way that might affect oneself. So for example, if we're talking about culture, we are both Asian and we come from Asian backgrounds. And so that came up.
Yes.
The fact that when I think back to my family, we did not talk about emotions. And I know that in a lot of my when we just discuss with my friends and of being Asian, we just do not talk about our emotions.
No.
And yeah, growing up, we would probably just cry, we'll throw tantrums,
And
we also did
to stop.
yeah. And we never got to really discuss or express what was going on. Another one being generation, and so I feel like the newer generation, like me with my kids, for example, I mean, they're the elder one being 3, she's exploring a lot of emotions right now. And, you know, when she's feeling angry, we work through that with her. We identify that, oh, you're feeling anger. Or why are you feeling angry? And it's okay. But then what follows is what matters.
Right, and what you can do, how you can respond to it. So I think that's one of the biggest difference that I see is mental health literacy, which is basically your awareness or your knowledge or even your attitudes and belief towards mental health conditions. It's a lot higher today, especially among youths and the younger parents, compared to our parents or even our grandparents at the time. Different groups of people, going back to culture, respond to they perceive, and they understand emotions differently. And based on your background and your environment, the way that you treat emotions and the way that you respond to your emotions is very different. So from our point of view, in some Asian contexts, kids aren't generally given the opportunity to sit with their emotion, to understand that, yes, what I'm feeling now is called anger, or what I'm feeling now is called sadness. And then aren't necessarily taught by the parent to what can you do, what's the right kind of response to it, what's helpful and what's not helpful. And these are just some of the few contributing factors to how people monitor their emotions and how it contributes to something called emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is basically your understanding, knowledge, awareness and response towards emotions, otherwise known as EQ. Some of you guys might know it as EQ. And EQ is something that not everyone, I bet, like, has a good understanding of it because they weren't given the opportunity to really work through their emotions when they were younger. And this can have a lot of psychological impacts when you grow up. Yeah. So how do you think you feel, or was there anything in your context, since you can compare it with your children and with your own childhood, do you see a difference between how you think next time your kids will be able to understand like and process their emotions.
Yeah. Well, I suppose when I think back as well, and sometimes when I get together with my brothers and we talk about, we'll talk about, growing up and about the good old days. But we've also identified that we're not very good at regulating our emotions. And I've taken that into my own relationship. Yeah, at the very beginning, having a relationship, I wasn't very good at expressing my emotions, or I would just break down, or I would just be angry and frustrated with him. But that was a learning process and a growing process whereby we had to stop, and we had to break it down, and I had to learn how to do that. And so I'm hoping that our girls growing up will be able to regulate their own emotions and be okay with their emotions. Being angry, being scared is okay. But yeah, I mean, I have girls, and I'm sure gender will probably play a part in it as well.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you, when you mentioned your brothers, do you feel like there was a difference between like whether or not certain emotions were okay to sit with you versus sit with your brothers?
Well, yeah, I suppose, not being able to cry about it, or, I mean, being girl, the baby girl as well, I was very annoying. I was a very annoying child, but I would just scream and cry. I was a big crybaby. And, my brothers weren't allowed to do that, and they'll get scolded. They're like, you guys are the brothers, you need to be strong, and you guys need to look after the family. What about you, like, with your siblings?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely my brother, hi mom, gets preferential treatment from my mother. Whereas definitely some of the things that I see, it's not just with my own family, but I see like amongst parents and how they excuse certain behavior for kids. It's like, he's just a boy. He's just like, he's just growing up. That's how, boys will be boys, that kind of thing. So definitely there's this gender aspect where certain emotions are especially not applicable, or certain emotions are definitely not something that can be felt or expressed by certain genders. So yes, I would say that I definitely see that. But I will say, maybe because of mental health literacy, that it's less so today. I don't see as many parents, or I don't hear as many stories of people excusing certain behaviors or justifying certain behaviors because they are a boy or they're a girl. So it's really nice to see that everyone is treating emotions the same regardless of their genders. Yeah.
And I think with mental health literacy, that's also something that we want to achieve, to increase that mental health literacy as well, and continue to increase that in schools and in the workplace. Yeah. So Jo, for those that don't have much of a mental health literacy, or don't get the chance to go through that and express their emotions, or regulate their emotions, what are some of the effects of that?
Basically, emotions will manifest regardless of what you do. Regardless if someone teaches you a helpful way of coping with it or not, it's going to come out somehow. So it could be as easy as like you go home and you slam the door. That release from like pushing something or knocking things over or fighting or yelling. So it's all going to come out one way or another. So for children who grow up without much opportunity to express it in a helpful way, they're likely going to, the emotion's gonna likely manifest through a different behavior. And generally those behaviors are not something that is very beneficial in the long term.
So perhaps more aggression.
Yeah, so so for example, like what I just mentioned, they yell, they fight, they throw things around. So that's why it's so important to understand why you should monitor your mood, because although maybe in the past you weren't able to have all those opportunities to express yourself or learn about the emotion or learn how to respond to the emotion, what we can do now in the present is to check in with yourself to see, how am I feeling and how am I responding to it? Because if I'm feeling sad, that's one thing. But if I'm feeling sad and I shut myself in my room for the whole day, that's something that might be a bit problematic in the future. It's going to affect your daily way of living. It's going to affect your routines and
your relationship.
Yes, your mental
job,
health, everything.
Yeah.
So everything is very correlated. So everything affects one another. And yeah, that's why we think it's important to really be aware and check in with yourself to see how are you doing and how are your emotions being attended to. And if they're not being attended to, how are they manifesting out? And is that helping you or is that not helping you?
So that's a good point, which I suppose can lead to a next question that I've been thinking about. What are some tools that people can use or try to keep themselves in check with their own emotions?
Okay, so there are things we can do to calm ourselves down and to keep us in the present moment. So when we get heated, right, we tend to run along with the emotions, right? When we get upset and we get angry, we also think about like, oh, this is making me angry, and then the other day this also made me angry, and now I'm gonna be late and everyone's gonna be affected and blah blah blah. So that's like you're really running with your emotions and your thoughts. But to help yourself check in, try to stay in the present moment by calming yourself down. So you've probably heard of this, like breathing techniques, right, mindfulness exercises. So you can look them up online. They're very easily, they're readily available on the internet. And it's just different techniques and strategies you do to just calm yourself down so you don't get so caught up in your emotions or in your thoughts.
And also that's healthy for the body as well.
Yes.
I mean, by deep breathing, we're also introducing more oxygen to our brain, our hearts, and our body.
Yeah.
So that I'm sure that can also release the good chemistry within our physical health.
Yeah. And another one is journaling. So journaling is a great way because, either if you want to type it or if you want to write it, the act of like stopping to get your thoughts down on something, paper, phone, whatever, will also slow down your thought process. And then it will get you to really think about what is happening and reflect about what had just occurred and how did you respond to it. And another good thing about journaling is that you can actually track. So you can actually go back to a few entries before and kind of like monitor how you've been responding and see if there's any patterns of thoughts or behaviors that you like and you want to continue or that you don't like and you want to address and change.
Yeah, 100% agree with the journaling. That's why at Zoala one of the features that we really like as well and that we've introduced to the students is journaling. We call it guided journaling because we also understand that at the very beginning, building those positive habits take time. And so for those that are new to journaling, we have those guided sections, like, one about gratitude. We have also open journaling, so those that just want to talk about their day. But other guided pages where it can help them get started. And I also like the idea that it's about those milestones as well. And even for one's workplace, thinking, we go day to day, rushing about, and we just go from day to day. But then when we actually stop and think, where was I, a month ago or 6 months ago, we do continually grow and develop. And looking back on that is also can be quite a powerful exercise for us, let alone our youths.
Yeah. Yes. So bottom line, definitely stop and check in with yourself from time to time to see how you're feeling. If you need help, you can grab a notebook, start journaling, or you could download Zoala and use their guided journaling. Other things you can do is look up how to do mindfulness practices, breathing exercise to work on slowing down, and that it's okay, maybe in the past you didn't have a lot of opportunities, and how it's okay that maybe perhaps in the past you didn't have a lot of opportunities to express your emotions or to understand, but it is never too late to start.
We'll definitely share some of those useful links that Joe had mentioned down in the description section below. And thank you guys again for tuning in to Zo Talks. This was our episode about the importance of mood monitoring. It's very important. Everyone deserves a boost of EQ.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys next episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear in a future episode.
Thank you.
See you guys.